There's a scene that happens every day in the United States, millions of times, in apartments, in offices, in bathrooms where people are pretending to go to the bathroom but are actually on their cell phone. A person opens a real estate ad, reads 3 lines, and suddenly their heart races as if the building were on fire. There's no smoke. There are no flames. There's just one small, strategic, surgical phrase, last unit available. And that's enough. It's always enough. You open the app. Maybe it's a Tuesday afternoon. You're on the couch, eating something you probably shouldn't be eating, and then the ad pops up. A house, an apartment, something that seems too perfect. And right below the price, in big red urgent letters, it says, last unit available. Prices have risen 20% in the last year. There are 3 offers under review. The broker responds in less than 5 minutes. And suddenly, without you realizing, without anyone warning you, you've gone from being a rational person making a financial decision to an animal afraid of running out of food in the winter. You feel behind. You feel stupid for not buying sooner. You start calculating how much you'd need to take from your emergency fund, how much you could borrow from family, whether you could somehow creatively pay the down payment in installments. All this in 45 seconds. But here's the problem. What you're feeling isn't instinct. It's not opportunity knocking at your door. It's the trap, working exactly as it was designed to work. It's not an accident. It's not a market coincidence. It's psychological engineering applied to the biggest deal of your life. The scarcity they're selling you isn't real. It was built, calibrated, tested, and perfected to do exactly what it's doing to you now. Paralyze you with fear and push you towards a decision that benefits someone else far more than it benefits you. Think about it this way. Have you ever been to a store and seen that countdown timer on the website? Offer ends in 2 hours, 43 minutes, and 11 seconds. And you stood there, watching that number drop, feeling that silly pressure, and bought something you didn't need because the timer reached 0 and nothing happened. The website reloaded. The timer went back to 2 days. The offer remained exactly the same. Because the timer was never real. It was just a display of urgency. It was a staged scenario for your brain to react as if it were fleeing from a predator. The American real estate market does this, but on an epic scale and with consequences that last 30 years. It's not a 2-hour countdown. It's the broker calling you at 8 in the morning saying another offer just came in. It's the construction company informing you that there are only 2 units left on the top floor overlooking the park. It's the financial advisor explaining with surgical seriousness that interest rates will rise next quarter and that if you don't close now, you'll pay $50,000 more over the next 10 years. There's always one more buyer. There's always one more offer. There's always one last unit. And when that last unit disappears, another last unit appears in a different building, on the street below, with the same broker, the same argument, the same invisible counter ticking in your head. And that's where the loop begins. You feel the pressure. The pressure makes you run. You run and make an offer above the asking price because it was the only way to compete. You pay more. And then comes the most human and saddest part of this whole story. You convince yourself that you did the right thing because nobody can look at a $400,000 decision and admit they reacted like a hooked fish. So you build the narrative. It was the right neighborhood. It was the right time. The market will only appreciate. It was the last opportunity. It was destined. Tell me this didn't happen to you. Tell me you never did this. Tell me, looking me in the eye. The problem isn't that you bought quickly. The problem is that you weren't buying. You were reacting. There's a huge difference between making a financial decision and having an emotional response to a manufactured stimulus. Those who buy research, compare, wait, negotiate, walk around the neighborhood at 10 o'clock at night to see what the traffic is like. Check the price history of the last 5 years. Talk to the neighbors. Call the city hall to find out what will be built on the corner in 3 years. Those who react open the app, see the last unit available, feel their heart race, and text the realtor before they've even finished breathing. And that reaction, that split second where you let go of reason and embraced panic, That reaction traps you in decades of installment, not because you planned poorly, not because you're stupid, but because you were pushed, because someone far more prepared than you spent years studying exactly how your brain works under pressure, and used that knowledge to sell you a house on their terms, on their deadline, at their price. Let that sink in. Seriously. Spend a second with that thought, because most people read this, nod in agreement, and the following week do the exact same thing when the next ad pops up. The system doesn't need to deceive you all the time. It only needs to get you once, just once. Because once you've signed, once the financing has been approved, once the keys are in your hand and the ID installments start being debited every month, the game is over. You're in. You're committed. And now you're going to defend that decision for the rest of your life, because that's what human beings do. We can't bear to admit we've been manipulated. So we call what was actually panic about installment and investment. So what do? The answer is humiliatingly simple. And that's exactly why almost no one manages to follow it. You slow down, that's it. You stop, you breathe, you put your phone in your pocket. Because here's a truth the real estate market doesn't want you to know. If a deal disappears when you ask for 24 hours to think, that deal probably never was real. A good property, at a fair price, in a solid neighborhood, didn't evaporate because you slept in one night before signing. What evaporated was the artificial pressure that was holding your rationality hostage. If the broker says you'll lose if you don't decide now, maybe what you need to lose is that broker. If you want to keep seeing inside more traps like this, stay here, because this was just the beginning. The system has layers, and each layer was designed to seem normal, to seem inevitable, to seem like that's simply how the market works. It's not. It's a choice someone made for you, before you arrived, and that you were taught to call reality. You spend your whole life believing you're chasing a rare opportunity, a window that opens and closes, a chance that won't come again. But maybe, just maybe, you're not chasing anything. Maybe you're simply chasing because someone sounded the alarm and your brain did what brains do when they hear alarm. It wasn't scarcity. It was manufactured pressure. You didn't decide, you reacted. And that's the difference between building wealth and financing someone else's wealth for 30 years.